Hello and welcome to Vision of Asia, the news you can trust in events that move and celebrate our very own South Asian community. I am Pia Jyoti Khatru coming to you from our ITV Gold studio in New Jersey. In the headlines today, Yogi Aditya Nath swearing in Prime Minister Modi, Amit Shah key invitees at grand ceremony, Jai Shankar louts India's foreign policy during evacuation efforts in Ukraine, Afghanistan. UK to provide $5.4 million to tackle disinformation in Russia, Ukraine. Our feature today is on Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing. In Kashmir Files, many Kashmiri Hindus alive because of Sang's help, says Pandit Diaspora Organization. Madeline Albright, former US Secretary of State and feminist icon, dies at 84. In Oscar 2022, Jason Momoa, Serena, Venus Williams joined presenter lineup. Yogi Adityanath swearing in Prime Minister Modi, Amit Shah key invitees at grand ceremony. The ceremony will be held at the Bharat Ratna Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee Ekana Cricket Stadium in Lucknow at 4 p.m. on March 25th, Friday. Elaborate arrangements are being made for the event at the stadium, which has the capacity to seat around 50,000. Yogi Adityanath took oath as Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh for a second time on Thursday. The saffron-robed Bharatiya Janata Party leader will be sworn in at a grand ceremony in Lucknow with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union Home Minister Amit Shah present. Also present will be the chief ministers of several BJP-ruled states, including Uttarakhand's Pushkar Dhami, at whose swearing-in Wednesday Yogi was present. The Prime Minister will, of course, be the chief guest. Amit Shah will be joined by Union Ministers Rajnath Singh, Dharmendra Pradhan and Anurag Thakur and BJP Chief JP Nadda, as the party puts on a show of strength after recording a thumping win in last month's assembly election. BJP allies Apna Dal and Nishad Party, which claimed an impressive 18 seats between them, will also be invited and will be hopeful of representation in the cabinet. Senior opposition leaders have also been invited, including Congress Chief Sonia Gandhi and General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, who led the party's UP election campaign. Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav, Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav and party founder Mulayam Yadav have also been called, as have Bahujan Samaj Party Chief Mayawati. It's unclear if opposition leaders will be present. Bollywood stars like Akshay Kumar and Kangana Ranaut have also received invitations. External Affairs Minister S. Jai Shankar on Thursday said that India's foreign policy helped during the evacuation of Indian nationals under Operation Ganga in Ukraine, Operation Devi Shakti in Afghanistan, and Vande Bharat mission during COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking at inaugural St. Stephen's MRF Distinguished Alumni Annual Lecture, he said, "Think for a moment as an Indian student happened to be still in Ukraine on February 24, 2021. Concerned about your education prospects, you have now found yourself in the middle of the serious conflict, and it's not just you, it is 20,000 more of your fellow nationals, and there are at the same time millions of Ukrainians who are trying to get out of the country. Internal travel is itself dangerous and complicated. The borders are overcrowded due to ingestion, and in highly impacted cities, there's even the physical danger of just stepping out in the open due to shellings. Jaishankar said that at times like this, governments swing into action to save their nationals. This is when you really look up to your government for support and for extrication, and indeed, this is when the entire foreign policy apparatus swings into action as it did through Operation Ganga. It does so by facilitating transport, including trains and buses. It intervenes at the highest level in Russia and Ukraine to ensure the ceasing of fire for safe passage. It engages border authorities to ensure border crossing, and in extreme cases, such as there was a particular town called Sumy. It even traverses conflict zones to assure you of necessary logistics for your safety. Once you're out of Ukraine, it works with neighboring governments, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, and Poland and Moldova, to establish transit camps to organize the flight, which is required for a safe return to home, said Jaishankar. He also gave the example of Operation Devi Shakti, under which Indian nationals were evacuated from Afghanistan when the Taliban laid siege to capital Kabul. Let me give you another example of Kabul. On August 15th last year, for whatever reasons, you found yourself stranded in the middle of the city when the Taliban took over. A huge effort was made by the Indian government to bring exactly such people home. Quite apart from navigating the city, now controlled by the Taliban checkpoints. You could well ask, how difficult could this be? The Indian minister further gave the intricate details of how such a difficult task was accomplished with the help of years of relationships maintained with the respective countries. Talking about Vande Bharat's mission, he said that it was the largest recorded evacuation exercise in human history. Operation Devi Shakti flights from Kabul have been stressful but still manageable at short notice. Much more daunting was India's challenge in the face of demands generated by COVID-19 pandemic. The Vande Bharat mission brought back millions of Indians from multiple countries through air, sea, and land. It's in fact the largest recorded evacuation exercise in human history. He also explained about the complex set of activities for the evacuation and intensive engagement with authorities that made the largest recorded evacuation exercise in human history possible. The External Affairs Minister, in a written statement laid on the table of Rajya Sabha, said that the government has been able to safely bring home 22,500 Indian citizens and 147 foreign nationals belonging to 18 countries from Ukraine since February 2022. UK to provide $5.4 million to tackle disinformation in Russia, Ukraine. The UK government will allocate more than £4 million to the BBC World Service for the information war against Russia, the UK Prime Minister's office said in a statement. The UK will also provide an additional £4.1 million for the BBC World Service as part of a cross-government effort to tackle disinformation in Russia and Ukraine, as well as new financial and policing support for the International Criminal Court's investigation into war crimes, the statement said. Emergency funding to support its Ukrainian and Russian language services in the region has been provided by the Department of Digital Culture, Media and Sport and FCDO, it said. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova earlier said the BBC Corporation in Russia is far from playing the last role in undermining domestic political stability and security in the country. On March 4th, Russian media watchdog Roskomnadzor blocked the websites of a number of publications, including the BBC Russian service. The reason for the restriction was the purposeful placement on a systematic basis of information materials containing false information about the essence of the special military operation in Ukraine. Our feature today is on Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing. For the first time in the history of the US, a black woman is nominated to serve as a judge at the Supreme Court. US President Joe Biden nominated Ketanji Brown Jackson as the judge of the highest court in the country. For too long, our government, our courts haven't looked like America, quoted Biden. Jackson, who has been considered the front-runner for the vacancy since Justice Stephen Breyer's announced his retirement, currently serves in DC's Federal Appellate Court. She will become the first black woman in the country to serve as a Supreme Court judge if the Senate confirms her appointment. The Senate Judiciary Committee will vote on Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court nomination on Monday, April 4th. The panel will first consider the nomination on Monday, March 28th. But that meeting will not include a vote because the minority party can ask to hold the vote over until the next meeting. Senate Democratic leaders have said they hope to have a vote confirming Jackson before their Easter recess. One of the tools Republicans have to stall the nomination: boycott the committee vote on April 4th to deny a quorum and stall the nomination in committee. But Senator Chuck Grassley, the ranking Republican, says that is not in the cards. I haven't had one discussion with one Republican on that subject, and I get paid to do my job, and that's part of my job, and I intend to earn my money, Grassley said. Also, Judiciary Chairman Dick Durbin, leaving the FBI background check meeting on Jackson, said there were no red flags raised. Kashmir Files, many Kashmiri Hindus alive because of Sangh's help, says Pandit Diaspora Organization depiction of atrocities on Kashmiri Pandits that led to their exodus from the valley in the 90s have been succulently represented in the recently released Kashmir Files, according to the Global Kashmiri Pandit Diaspora, GKPD, an organization which works for the community. According to Utpal Kaul, the international coordinator for GKPD, what is shown in the Kashmir Files movies is the truth. It's only 10% of whatever happened in the valley. There is more. Kaul, whose organization has been involved in campaigns across the world to narrate the story of the atrocities on Kashmiri Pandits, said many Kashmiris are alive today because of the Sangh. He referred to the help provided by Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh to members of the community to leave the valley. Kaul also mentioned the assistance of the Arya Samaj of Jammu, the Dogra Samaj, and from the Sikhs. According to Kaul, the then government was nowhere seen when the exodus started on December 1990. The mass killings reached its climax on January 19th when outrageous slogans were raised. Even today, these are completely ineffable. All of this was happening for the first time in history for us as a minority, said Kaul. Recalling the helplessness of Kashmiri Pandits, the GKPD member said, "We had to flee to save our lives and our honor. We were displaced on the roads of Jammu and we did not know what to do." Vivek Agnihotri directed the Kashmir Files that was released in theaters on March 11, stars Anupam Kher, Mithun Chakrabarti, Pallavi Joshi, Darshan Kumar and others. It revolves around the killings of Kashmiri Pandits in the 90s. The movie, which has been made tax-free in several states in the country, has caught up in controversy with BJP and opposition parties sparring over the portrayal of the incidents it depicts. Madeline Albright, former U.S. Secretary of State and feminist icon, dies at 84. Madeline Albright, the first woman to serve as U.S. Secretary of State, died Wednesday from cancer at the age 84. According to her family, "We have lost a loving mother, grandmother, sister, aunt, and friend," the statement said, as well as a tireless champion of democracy and human rights. Then President Bill Clinton named Albright U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations shortly after he was inaugurated in 1993 and nominated her as Secretary of State 3 years. Albright was nominated for Secretary of State by President Bill Clinton and served in the role from 1997 to 2001. She was the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations from 1993 to 1997. As the world redefined itself in the wake of the Cold War, we were partners and friends working to welcome newly liberated democracies into NATO and confront the horrors of genocide in the Balkans. President Joe Biden said in a statement, "When I think of Madeline, I'll always remember her fervent faith that America is the indispensable nation." President Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, in a statement called Albright one of the finest secretaries of state, an outstanding UN ambassador, a brilliant professor, and an extraordinary human being. As a child in war-torn Europe, Madeline and her family were twice forced to flee their home, the Clintons said. When the end of the Cold War ushered in a new era of global interdependence, she became America's voice at the UN, then took the helm at the State Department, where she was a passionate force for freedom, democracy, and human rights. And in the Oscars 2022, Jason Momoa, Serena, Venus Williams joined presenter lineup. Jason Momoa, Serena Williams, and Venus Williams are among the latest stars added to the presenter lineup for the 2022 Oscars. According to the sources, the final slate of presenters for the upcoming ceremony also include Josh Brolin, Jacob Elordi, Jill Scott, and J.K. Simmons. Rachel Ziegler will also present following the viral controversial revelation that the star of Best Picture nominee West Side Story had not been invited to attend the award ceremony. Serena and Venus Williams, along with their sister Isha Price, are executive producers of King Richard, nominated for Best Picture and centered on their story and father Richard Williams. The latest batch of presenters joined previously announced presenters like Ruthie Carter, Kevin Costner, Anthony Hopkins, Rami Malek, Lupita Nyong'o, and some other celebrities. The 94th Annual Academy Awards will air live on ABC and broadcast outlets worldwide on Sunday, March 27, 2022 at 8 p.m.
ले लो जलेबी आलू की भाई आलू जलेबी ले लो आलू की रस भरी जलेबी आलू जलेबी ले लो आलू दही और अरारोट को फेंट के घी में डाला धीमी आंच पे पकी जलेबी आया रंग निराला ये रिश्तों में घोल दे मिश्री सब झगड़े मिट जाए भूल के रंजिश टूटे दिल भी पल भर में जुड़ जाए ले लो जलेबी आलू की भाई आलू जलेबी ले लो आलू की रस भरी जलेबी आलू जलेबी ले लो जय गोपाल कुरकुरी रस भरी आलू जलेबी रख लो तो लेके चलेगी यादों की गोल सी गलियां पुरानी मीठी जुबानों की मीठा का पानी बाबा के हाथ में जादू की रेखा यादें हैं साथ जो बनके निशानी मीठे समुंदर में सूरज का छाना खुशबू में लिपटा है गुजरा ज़माना तेरे हाथों में आए थे जब ना मोबाइल चेहरे पे परमानेंट होती थी स्माइल रंगों में इसका जो स्वाद मिला लो धरती पे बैठे हैं कान्हा को पालो आइए मिठाई
की दवाई से मिलिए
आ जाओ प्लीज
मोबाइल लाइव लोकेशन पे शूट किया था, बहुत ज़्यादा एक्साइटिंग था, काइंड ऑफ एडवेंचरस भी था, थ्रिलिंग था, एंड सबसे ख़ास बात ये थी कि हमने वो कल्चरल जो मेन रूट्स है उसको पकड़ने की कोशिश की है। आप अगर देख सकते हो यहाँ पे जैसे वीडियो दिखाया गया, वहाँ पे मथुरा की गलियाँ, वृंदावन, सब कुछ एकदम डिवाइन वाइब था। तो मैं इंटायर टाइम बहुत एक्साइटेड थी बिकॉज पूरे टीम अपने कंप्लीट एफर्ट्स दे रहे थे एंड आई एम सो थैंकफुल फॉर दैट।
तो मेरे साथ एक्चुअली अरविंद सर ने प्लान किया कि पहला दिन हम शूट करेंगे कार का, वो शो का पहला दिन है। तो मुझे लगा अच्छा क्रोमा लगा के शायद करेंगे अच्छे से। सर ने बोला रियल लोकेशन पे रियल तरीके से कार चलानी है भाई। मैंने कहा ओके सर। तो बहुत ही रियल तरीके से, बहुत ही ऑर्गेनिक वे में हमने पूरे शो को अभी तक और आगे तक भी शूट करेंगे हम। और एक अलग जो फ्लेवर होता है एक शो का कि यार ये शो ऐसा है, पर हम इसमें एक चार चांद लगाएंगे रियल लोकेशन के साथ, रियल टेक्सचर के साथ, रियल फ्लेवर के साथ। तो वो अरविंद सर ने बहुत अच्छे से दिखाया है ऑब्वियसली, जो आप लोगों को।
एक बात मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ हमारी आउटडोर शूटिंग के बारे में। हम 8-10 दिन थे वहाँ, मथुरा, वृंदावन, जतीपुरा, गोवर्धन में हमने शूट किया। और कुछ लोग थे जो शायद पहली बार उस इलाके में गए होंगे। तो वहाँ तो गोपाल भक्ति, कृष्ण भक्ति, राधे राधे, जय हो बांके बिहारी की, ये सब पूरे दिन चलता रहता था। तो हम जब सेट पे आए, और हमारे यहाँ ना गणपति पूजन होता है, सब जगह शूटिंग में होता है, गणपति बप्पा मोरिया, जय हो साईनाथ महाराज की। तो पहले दिन जब सेट पे शूटिंग हुई तो अचानक पीछे से आवाज़ें आई, राधे राधे, बांके बिहारी लाल जी की जय। तो अभी वो नियम बन गया है।
हाँ।
वो उस आउटडोर शेड्यूल की ही देन है कि वहाँ पे अभी जो है ना राधे राधे और बांके बिहारी लाल की जय भी हो जाता है। दूसरी बात मैं एक बताऊँ, मैं खुद मथुरा का हूँ। तो ब्रिज के लोग वैसे बहुत मीठे होते हैं, लेकिन अगर उनकी सटक जाए तो फिर सटक जाए। लेकिन जतीपुरा जो जगह है, और इसकी साइकिल पे लिखा हुआ है जतीपुरा की प्रसिद्ध आलू की जलेबी। जो साइकिल पे डिब्बा आपने देखा होगा, उस डिब्बे ने पूरे जतीपुरा के हर व्यक्ति का मन मोह लिया। और उन्होंने आउटराइटली इतनी मदद की हमारी, संकट कहीं आने नहीं दिया। और वो लोग ही बेचारे, भीड़ भीड़ हो गई तो खुद जतीपुरा के लोग ही सबको साइड कर रहे हैं। और वो उनकी अपनी कहानी बन गई, क्योंकि उस पर लिखा हुआ था जतीपुरा की प्रसिद्ध आलू जलेबी। और ब्रिज का तो माहौल ऐसा है कि सब तरफ आनंद ही आनंद है, मस्ती है। तो वो आउटडोर शूट जो था, उसमें हम सब लोगों ने शूटिंग की, लेकिन थकावट बिल्कुल नहीं हुई, क्योंकि हम लोग मस्तियाँ बहुत करते थे। कहीं भी गाड़ी रुकवा के जो है कचौड़ी खाई जा रही हैं, जलेबी खाई जा रही हैं, चाट खाई जा रही है, चीले खाए जा रहे हैं वृंदावन में। तो बड़े आनंद वाला शेड्यूल रहा वो।
लाइव लोकेशन ट्रेन।
And that's a wrap on Vision of Asia tonight. Send us your suggestions and community news that you would like us to cover for our print and television coverage at events@itvgold.com. Follow us on our Facebook handle @itvgold. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and pick up a free copy of Desi Talk if you are in Tri-State or in the Chicago area for news on community, entertainment and events in US and India. You can also read the News India Times newspaper online at www.newsindiatimes.com or subscribe to the hard copy by calling 212-675-7515.